On the day of March the 26th, 1948, one of the Palestinian resistance leaders traveled to stand before an assembly of the Arab League. He told the Arab leaders gathered there, "My name is Abdul al-Husseini, and I have men willing to fight with me. Inside of Palestine, these men can withstand iron and oppression. All I need is weapons so I can confront the Zionists, who are backed by Britain and America with the most advanced arms and equipment." They told him, "But Abdul Qadir, my dear, you can't fight them." He replied, "That's not your concern. Just give me the weapons and you can stay safely in your countries. My men and I will face the firepower, and with God's will, we will stop the Zionists from entering Jerusalem." So they said to him, "What weapons are you talking about, Abdul Qadir? The weapons we have are bought with our people's money, my friend. These are weapons coming from America, Britain, France, and Germany, the very countries you want to fight against. You want us to give you weapons and upset those people? Does that even make sense?" So Abdul Qadir walked away heartbroken, and he led his men and climbed up the Castle Hill with whatever weapons they already had. He and his men fought on the front lines until he was martyred there. We already made an episode about Abdul Qadir al-Husseini, and the key takeaway is, history is once again repeating itself today. And the disgrace that befell us all wasn't because our men failed. Oh no, far from it. It was actually because of the betrayal of the criminals who are sitting at the top of power in our countries. What you're going to see today is a dreadful mix of cowardice, despicableness, and moral decay. An exact replica of what happened in 1948, but signed in 2024. So shall we get into the story? All right, let's go.
Yesterday, the channel corporate of MBC, which is one of the largest media channels.
It's Lebanese now?
No, it's Saudi. It's a Saudi channel belonging to Al Arabiya, MBC. It belongs to Al Arabiya channel. So it broadcast on one of its programs in the weekend a detailed report on the most wanted terrorists who have been labeled as such since the year 2000. I watched the program for 15 minutes, and I must say that it seemed that it was actually taken from an Israeli channel.
As you have just heard, the MBC channel, a Saudi state-owned news television channel, which is completely funded by the Al Saud family, a media channel that broadcasts its programs from the land of the two holy cities, Mecca and Medina. According to the Zionists themselves, this media company is almost taking news from them directly. The MBC made a detailed report in Arabic about the evil terrorists who have plagued this world with their wickedness and how the world finally got rid of them. Honestly, I won't share with you the entire program because it will take up 15 minutes of our time. Instead, I'll bring you the main points and the essence so we don't waste our precious time.
How the world certainly eliminated these evildoers. Saleh al-Aruri, the mastermind of Hamas, the leader of bloody terrorist attacks, was killed in an Israeli strike in Beirut's southern suburb this year. Another prominent figure in the world of terrorism is Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas, who was designated a terrorist by the United States in 2018. He was assassinated in an Israeli airstrike that took place in Tehran this year. A new face of terrorism, and another one the world has gotten rid of. Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas's political bureau. A bloodthirsty man nicknamed the Butcher of Khan Yunis. He led Hamas in various brutal and criminal acts until he was killed in a military clash in the area.
Well done, truly well done. Excellent job coming from the land of monotheism and the cradle of revelation and the message. So, Saleh al-Aruri, Ismail Haniyeh, and Yahya Sinwar, evildoers the world has rid itself of, isn't that right? All right then, very nice, I'll buy that. But why wasn't there any mention of the terrorists the world hasn't gotten rid of yet? Because on October 2nd, 2018, there was a well-documented criminal act which was led by a criminal named Mohammed bin Salman. He sent a criminal gang that carried out the dumbest assassination operation in the entire history of intelligence services. This happened in the country of Turkey. They killed one of the Saudi citizens there, known as Jamal Khashoggi, inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. They injected him with a sedative, then strangled him, then cut his body up with a saw. After that, they put him in acid until his bones dissolved, and then dumped him into the sewage system. May Allah honor you. The crime is heinous, isn't it? So aren't these people criminals and terrorists? This criminal charge, my friend, was proven, and lawsuits were filed against them in Turkey, where the crime took place. Not to mention other lawsuits in the US, where Khashoggi held residency and was living. And even though he's a terrorist and a criminal and the crime was well evidenced, in the end it all got swept under the rug for a few billions here and a few billions there. And life went on after that. Things calmed down, and this criminal eventually became known as His Highness the Crown Prince. The problem with Alarori, Sinwar and Haniyeh is that they didn't have billions to fix their situation and become crown princes too. They didn't have money like this so-called prince, who used to spend his time unclogging sewers. Although his media is trying to turn him into a decent human being, they simply can't. And it so happens that this clip too was broadcasted on the same NBC channel, so it was also funded by the Saudis, but unfortunately, or rather fortunately, it was live and on air, so they couldn't cover it up for His Highness Nosepicker. Money can only silence the beneficiaries and those with vested interests. But the people will always believe you're a terrorist and a criminal no matter how much you spend to polish your image. Deep down, you are fully aware and convinced that the Arab rulers who welcome you with big arms and say, "Be the most welcome," or "Prince Big Nose," you know that they see you as nothing more than a walking bank. They're milking you in exchange for the official reception and media coverage. They are terrorists too, just like you, and their hands are soaked in the blood of their own people. But they don't mind flipping you for a few riyals here and there, so take it easy. And just like you spent billions trying to defame honorable people in your media channels, today you are being humiliated on YouTube for free, not a single dollar spent, as a favor in honor of the nobility of your nostrils. And in the same 15-minute report, NBC's program also included Osama bin Laden, alongside with all the men that were known in the same era. It seems that the Crown Prince didn't even know that his father used to collect donations for those terrorists. Indeed, he was collecting donations for them back in 1979 when he was still the governor of Riyadh. That was when America was fighting the Soviet Union in Afghanistan. So they ordered your father to do it and he obeyed. On top of donations, he imposed fees on football matches at the time, and he even distributed special offers and discounts on Saudi Airlines on all flights heading to Afghanistan. Oh yeah, he really did, because back then, these fighters were called the Mujahideen in Saudi media. This was when the Crown Prince was still a clueless kid who didn't understand anything. But even when he grew up, it seems that His Nosy Highness still doesn't have a clue. So now you know how to make news reports? Even classifying who's a terrorist and who's not? Bravo to your cuteness. Alright, this so-called terrorist went and bravely faced American-made tanks, drones, missiles and bombs launched at him by Zionist hands. He faced all of that with nothing but his chest and his unwavering courage, all on his own, and he died in a way that will inspire many generations to come. What about you? What heroism have you ever shown? Is there even one thing you've succeeded at in your entire life? Al-Houthi in Yemen? You claim that you'll wipe him out in 2 weeks, right? And he's been holding you by the neck for 9 years, beating you down non-stop. And he still won't let you go to this day? You ordered a blockade on Qatar and said you had 13 demands to end it. But after all, it only took a casual picture in shorts to solve the matter without a single demand being met. Hold on. In all fairness though, we have to say that the guy has a famous battle he fought in the game PUBG Online. This epic battle happened while he was still Crown Prince. To share the greatness of this heroism, the kids who were playing with him leaked the call during the battle. So without further ado, here you go.
They're on your right, almost.
Let's observe to get their positions, but we don't intervene.
I know where they are. They're around us.
Let's just keep watch and step in at the very end, okay?
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, you prefer to observe and keep watch from far because you were too scared to interfere. Even in a game, a virtual battle game, Your Highness is simply a coward. You didn't even want to step in and get involved even in a game. And the girl kept telling you that it was safe to step in, but you kept refusing and asked her to just observe. And after all this cowardice and failure, you ordered your lackeys to go around calling brave men terrorists. What a criminal! Oh, by the way, I have a message for you coming directly from Al-Aqsa Mosque. I found it in my messages and the sender insisted that I pass it on to you. So here it is. And in case you didn't get it, allow me to explain. The message is saying that the Palestinians and the whole Arab and Muslim nations with them, all these people disrespect the Al-Saud family. Their contempt and disdain are because of you and your ugly images from the heart of Al-Aqsa. With this simple message, they wanted you to know that they are disgusted by your filthy crimes. They see you for who you really are, one of the most disgraceful people on this earth. And here, let's take a time out, please. I really wish I could go perform Umrah. It would be very generous of you to allow me, because it's been almost 10 years now that I and many others like me haven't been able to go to Mecca. Seeing that you consider the Kaaba as your family heirloom, so you own it, control it and all of that. So could you grant me an Umrah, if you would be so kind? And moreover, didn't we say that this man, Muhammad Ali al-Husseini, the one you gave the Saudi citizenship to, didn't we say that the man was accused in Lebanon of espionage and spying for the Zionist state? He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but he is evading now his sentence. And in fact, the sentence still stands to this day and the judgment is enforceable in Lebanon. So Shia has now become friendly. Shiites are allowed to feature on Saudi channels and TV stations. They also receive paychecks and are even granted Saudi citizenships. What could be the reason, you ask? Well, let's take a look.
To the guy with the mask.
Abu Ubaidah?
The mask has fallen. We've heard, we've seen, and we will speak. The mask has fallen, and we know where you are. And you're very, very close to Rafah. A piece of advice, and I am a sincere advisor. The gate to Egypt is open. Hurry and don't look back, for the page and the file are closed. Put your trust in Allah.
Abu Ubaidah?
It's forbidden. We have leaders, we know who they are, and we move and act according to their views and directives.
So now you get the gist of things, right? If you turn on the Saudi channel MBC, you will find a report where they're calling the resistance terrorists. Then you switch to Al Arabiya, another Saudi channel, and you find them saying this guy betrayed the nation and that we should all obey His Majesty the ruler, aka this foolish kid. Believe me, I have no personal grudge against His Highness. I'm just an ordinary citizen who wants to go on Umrah, like I said. My only problem is that the narrative he's trying to spread is not convincing. At least make some effort to make it believable and we will accept that this man is a terrorist. Okay, I'll even agree to that. And yes, we will let him go to Egypt. As if Egypt wouldn't hand him over to the Zionists. Still, okay, but is this the only alternative charisma you want the youth of the nation to take as a role model instead of Abu Ubaidah? Come on. Find someone else, please. Check the fridge. Maybe you can find real men in there. Money never cleanses anyone or makes of a nobody a man's son. Money is for buying things, for entertaining yourself and giving you a luxury life. But manhood, that's in the genes and blood. Money is not what men are made of. Why won't you get it? When there are 2 million Muslims being exterminated just a few miles away from you, and in the meantime you're busy shaking your waist and twerking, then none of you has the right to complain or to even consider portraying yourselves as the nation's leaders. And when Iran is standing up and defying the Zionists and the Americans meanwhile, all you could come up with to respond to Iran is a low-quality cartoon, then don't expect to be seen as leaders. When you imprison the scholars of the Ummah during a critical historical moment like the one we're living through, and you unleash your foolishness on us through people like Turki al-Sheikh and Saud al-Qahtani, then don't expect to be remotely seen as leaders. Go patch things up between the singers Angam and Asala and spend your dollars to have Agi Azalea come sing for you, but do not ask for leadership. Leave that to the real men who are worthy of it. The problem is, you're so blinded by your own stupidity that you think the whole world is as foolish as you are. You seriously believe that people will listen to this man instead of this monstrous terrorist? And by the way, when it comes to the Arab audience, please be aware that Arabs are not like what you see on Saudi media. Oh no, far from it. Don't wrong the Saudi people and blame them for the crimes of this man. Please don't go saying that all of Saudis are corrupt. No, it is just this guy and his gang who are ruling them with an iron fist. So, are you not going to give me an Umrah now, Your Highness? Come on, just give me an Umrah, just one Umrah. And from the great Saudi Arabia to Egypt, the mother of the world, but still with the same Gutra and with the Madkhali and Al-Jami ideologies which we've already covered in 2 episodes in the channel, Madkhalism and Jamism with nuts. While prominent scholars and intellectuals are indeed imprisoned, some filthy beards of those who flatter the regime are allowed to roam freely just to push certain dirty agendas. Jaimism and Sufism are the only 2 ideologies, if you can call them that are allowed to express their opinions because they're under control, cute, and obedient to the leadership. So now let's hear the leadership's directives. Go ahead, my dear, step in with your military boots.
In the end, they present him as a hero, a warrior on the battlefield. But he was actually fleeing from the tunnels, heading to a house to hide in, and he was caught near a patrol. Was he going to attack the patrol? Was he in a battle? Was there a military operation? But all of that has been proven false. Everyone says that he was going home, or going to some house, and a patrol spotted them. They opened fire, and the others went to hide. Instead, they want us to believe that he was carrying bombs to make it look like it was a heroic stand. They say he bravely led his team. Leading whom? There were 3 of them. And it wasn't even an operation where he was going to attack. No, they are twisting what happened to make it look like the truth. They said he died wearing a fighter's outfit. He crawled out of a tunnel. It turns out he was either heading there or living there, and they were coming to get him, or something of the sort. He's the one who attacked? You tell me. Was he going to attack a patrol, or was it the patrol that saw him and attacked? Even, by God, I'll tell you, even the stick, he threw it. Where did he throw it? Where did he throw the stick? Are you trying to fool us? Maybe you're drunk, but we're not.
Look, Sheikh, if we're the ones who are drunk, then we are. Yeah, we really are drunk, man. We are still listening to poetry from the first Hijri century, even until now. And Ibn Mufarrig al-Himyari recited a verse just yesterday for Ubayd ibn Ziyad. You know what he said to him?
Ibn Mufarrig said, "If only beards were grass, so we could feed them to the horses of the Muslims." And the meaning of the verses, in case you didn't get it, is that the bushy beard you wear won't fool the youth into thinking you are following the Sunnah or that you are a representative of the noble prophetic guidance. That misguided propaganda doesn't work anymore. Social media helped everyone see clearly what's right and what's wrong. It's over. That kind of thing used to work back in the days of Abdel Nasser, when there were only channel 1 and 2 on television and the media was state-controlled. But today, the world is wide open and people can see and tell the difference between what's valuable and what's cheap. What's exactly bothering you with the man's heroism? Maybe because you're exhausted trying to act like a man, you bearded cowards? The man has passed away and gone to his Lord, and glory be to the one who has used the Zionists themselves and made their own media tools and channels serve to honor him and elevate his status among the people. So the man crushed you in his life, and even in his death, he exposed your shame and showed people your true worth, you and any so-called followers of the ruler, those who support whoever happens to be in power for your own gain. If you'd been among those at the Battle of Hattin, you would have discouraged the fight and Mujahideen, and you would have said that Salah al-Din was recklessly endangering the lives of the Muslimin. And if you had been at Badr or Uhud, then the words of the Lord of the worlds would have been revealed about you, just as they were about the hypocrites and munafiqeen. Mind you that the stereotypical image of criminals is always some people on hard drugs and some addicts with tattoos. But the true criminals also include politicians, fake intellectuals, corrupt preachers, and religious pretenders. Not all turbans and robes represent the truth or justice. For instance, the people you see now are Druze. You might initially relate to them and be deceived at first glance by their religious clothing and their white beards. Whereas actually, if you look closer, you will see that they are holding a funeral for the Zionist criminal Ihsan Tani, who was leading the elite 401st Armored Brigade in the Zionist army. This is the same man who led operations that massacred women, children, youth, and elderly in Gaza without any mercy. Yet these Druze people with their white beards are holding up banners saying, "May God have mercy on you, our hero." So you pray for mercy on the soul of this criminal who killed innocent civilians. And we are the delusional ones because we saw how Sinwar ended his life, right? A crooked scaled, twisted minds and hearts full of hatred and animosity, with a history of betrayal and collaboration with the occupation. Abdel Qadir al-Husseini was in the same circumstances, wearing the same headdress and a gal, but the man was martyred on the front lines, at the first line of contact with the Zionist occupation. And back then they also said he was reckless and impulsive, and they shamelessly withheld weapons from him in favor of the West and the Zionists. If Abdel Qadir hadn't died from the mortar fire that rained on him in the battlefield, he would have died from heartbreak over these criminals. The criminals who are keeping the border crossing closed to the people of Gaza, allowing the Zionists to burn their families, their flesh and blood inside the closed borders, live and in front of the whole world. The people of Gaza, the same people of Gaza who support Egyptian football teams, the people of Gaza who have always shared in joys of Egyptians and mourn their sorrows. I will never forget that Palestinian girl who, when threatened by the Zionists during the Sheikh Jarrah events, the girl confidently told them, "The Egyptians will protect me from you." That's how much Palestinians believed in Egyptian people and were moved by their history. But today, where are they? You would have been heard if you had called out to the living, but there is no life in those you're calling. And if you blew on a fire, it would surely light up. But unfortunately, you're blowing into ashes. Our Arab and Muslim neighbor, his flesh is burning and the smoke is rising before everyone's eyes into the sky. And Egypt is holding a big party just next door, with tens of thousands of Egyptians dancing and humming along with the young singer, repeating what they heard in media, that Palestine is none of their business. It's not their cause. And Al Arabiya and MBC is brainwashing the rest of the Arabs, saying that the Zionists are actually closer to them than the Palestinians. What a shameful submission and degradation. This is the lowest of the low, a worthlessness that the Arabs have never faced throughout their entire history. Arabs, tools in their enemies' hands. Arabs caused their own demise with their hands. Arabs who sold their lands. If only an eye had wept out. If only chivalry could actually cry out. To say that there are those among the Arabs who went hungry. Certainly they would then deliberately silence the voice of honor, and instead gave voice to their disgrace and broadcasted their slander. Arabs who certainly obeyed their Roman master. Arabs who sold cheaply their honor. Arabs in decline. And that's it, believer. And assalamu alaikum